Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a very interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This big boy is the Sniper Bladeworks DMF. This is the one they sent me. Thank you very much to Sniper Bladeworks for sending this in for me to review. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me, and that card is upside down for some reason. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. This is a big knife. You can actually buy this knife right now. I'll link it down in the description. It is very well made. It is also pretty expensive. You guys can check it out if you want to. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this knife. This design has been around for a while, but it's the first time that I have ever handled it. This is coming in at maybe 8.6, a little over 8.5 inches. Blade length is about 3.75. Cutting edge, thanks to a huge forward choil, is 3 inches. How about some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2? So it's really, I mean, it is about the same overall length as the Rat 1, but I mean, make no mistake, this is a huge knife. It's curved, and it's also it's very much like if T-Rex was a folding knife, right? I mean, think Hinderer Jurassic, but like a different shape and way bigger, way thicker, right? This is a hulking Saurus Rex of a knife. It was a really dumb sentence, the way that all came out of my stupid face hole there. Sorry about that. It's big, is what I was saying. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2. And before I forget, the Demco AD 20.5. There we go. Up against the Spyderco Para 3. Here we go. And then last but not least, we'll do the Benchmade Bug Out for some reason, and the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue. How's the action? Usually these big clunky knives are, yeah, okay, they're cool, but the action's usually not that good, right? Oh boy, it's very smooth, extremely fall shut. This guy is running on bearings. I think we can probably see in there. Wow, very smooth and nice detent too. Access to the lock bar is good. It's a little bit sharp, not terrible. You can kind of see right there. Scalped it out, kind of came off an angle, but pretty easy to disengage. No lock stick, thanks to surprisingly a steel lock bar insert. I really didn't think that these would come with lock bar inserts, but they do. Deploying it, you're pretty much dependent. I mean, you can use this little fuller thingy here to wheel it out, which works just fine. Deploying it with the blade stops, I honestly don't know if they intended for people to deploy them with these stops. They remind me of the stops on the ZT0562, which is based on the Hinderer XM18, but for some reason they didn't texture the stops on the 0562, so it just made it kind of uncomfortable. These are big barrels that come to 90-degree edges. So you can deploy it, right? It's not the worst thing in the world, but it is going to wear on your thumb after a couple of deployments. Honestly, I think people will try to use these. And while as far as I know, the design has been the same for a long time, there would be no harm in just texturing these a bit. I mean, you could do them kind of like this, just step them down a little bit just to add a little bit of comfort and make a little bit less kind of ow on the thumb coming out. But they work, right? In fact, you can even do the reverse flick if you can catch it just right and get your hand in exactly the right place. You can do the reverse flick. I haven't mastered it with this knife, but you can do it, right? And the action, like I said, is very smooth. And I'm not going to attribute that solely to the fact the blade is hulking. No, it feels like pretty smooth internal pivot action as well. I mean, the blade is definitely helping, but yeah, it's smooth. It doesn't feel sloppy smooth. It feels quality smooth, right? Let's go ahead and do carry profile. I have been carrying this just for the joy of carrying like big overbuilt knives like this. I've been carrying it. It's been great, but it's big. You're gonna notice it. I notice it every day that I put it in the pocket. I'm like, yep, that's a big freaking knife that I'm putting in there, right? So it's thick, and then length and height wise, it is way taller and way longer than both the PM2 and Para 3. This is a jeans knife. This is a work pants knife. I would not put this knife in the pants of, like, I would not put this in athletic shorts. I mean, you do you. It's your money. They're your pants, right? But I would wear heavy duty pants and I would wear a belt, right? let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'm going to get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. Pretty sure the pivot is maybe it's a T10. I have not had to adjust this. Absolutely nothing has come loose on this guy. Yeah, it looks like it's probably a T10. And boop, there we go. On both sides. And then the scale screws, I can't believe it, but I think they're actually T6. Let's take a look. Let's just fit it. Yeah, there's my T6 bit. Okay. Yeah, T6. I really wish those were T8. We got 3 on each side, so 2 more than what I consider to be minimal hardware. That's not that big of a deal. T6 is annoying. I wish it was T8 just so that you're less likely to strip the head, but it's not the end of the world, right? We've got 3 T6 screws on the pocket clip. You can get this thing apart if you want to, right? It's not going to be that difficult. It's not the end of the world. You'll be fine. I wish they were T8. That's all I can say. Let's weigh it. Where's my scale? For some reason there it is. All right. Not little. We have G10 and then we have titanium and a lot of it. And then we have a big, thick slab of S35VN. Does that surprise you? 9.52 ounces, even with one side being almost entirely G10, right? I'll let you guys take a look at the inside. I always at this point with it being so hefty, right? The difference, I always like to see like kind of Hinder style where they do a thin titanium or even steel liner on one side, right? At this thickness, you're not going to break that G10, but for some reason, I just kind of like that. I'm always like appreciative when I see either a nested steel titanium liner or even a lipped, right? Just a layered steel or titanium liner on one side. But yeah, if we're talking durability, right? I'm speaking from the nitpicky, like enthusiast. I want to see the liner because it makes me feel good, right? But in terms of durability and capability, the G10 is so unbelievably thick. There's no way, like it's not. I mean, there's no question of durability, but it's freaking heavy, right? I think people knew that was going to be the case. What's the blade stock thickness? Not quite I don't think it's quite a 1/4 inch, but I think it's actually thicker than 1/5 of an inch. Let's see. Little bit. 206, 207 thousandths. Pretty thick. It's a big boy, right? Now, everybody knows that thick knives can't slice, right? Everybody's seen the videos where people test the thickness behind the edge, and those guys do this. It's too thick. I just can't cut anything because, me and my, all of my experience and how edge geometry works, I just can't cut any. Why do people do that? Still to this day, I see people do that, right? Don't pay attention to that. Yes, it can slice. Yes, it's been sharpened well enough to slice. Will it slow you down if you push it through cardboard or thicker material, something like wood, rubber, rope? Oh yeah, you're going to be pushing a pretty big, thick wedge through material. But when it comes to, the stability of the edge, the durability of the tip and the edge, right, that combined with the S35VN competition, this is a wickedly durable blade and can absolutely stand up to some pretty hardcore cutting if you need it to, right? Now, when I say cutting, I don't mean hurling as hard as you can against a brick wall, which is for some reason a knife test on YouTube. Chopping and things like that, that's like any knife. Even the cold steel triad lock, that's going to affect lockup and things like that. But continuous heavy pressure cutting, things like that, yeah, you're going to be fine. I think this blade is really, really durable for sure. And I like that they chose S35VN and not M390 for the blade steel. It's tougher, it's better, it's easier to sharpen, right? If you're using this knife the way that it is intended to be used, then you're probably going to be resharpening it a lot, and S35VN is your friend in that department. Absolutely. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes here. This is a weird-looking knife, right? But it is designed to be ergonomically friendly, and boy, is it. I have a thing about knives with this. I say this shape, like there's other knives that are shaped like this. This is pretty unique, right? But this, the handle is designed for comfort in a multitude of different hand positions. And while the edges here are pretty abrupt, they are knocked down just a little tiny bit, which makes it feel a little less bricky than you might expect. But it is a brick. This definitely does feel like a brick that, you know, it's like a really big brick of silly putty that somebody squeezed, and then they just took that shape and said, let's put a blade on it, right? And so it is ergonomically comfortable for as big of a knife as it is, especially when you're choked up here. This little area right here complements the index finger position very well, and even this position up here. You can also get up here and still do draw cuts, right? So as far as big, thick, crazy knives go, this is one of the most ergonomic big, thick, crazy knives that I've ever handled. And I really, really like that, especially this area right here is just intense, man. There's so much space. This is like Microtech stitch or Borka stitch level forward choil, right? There is no question you're getting your index finger in there, right? Even somebody with fingers that are twice as thick as mine, you're gonna get your finger in there, right? There's a bit of space here between the blade, right? There's a distinct piece of material here that's flat ground between your finger and the edge, and there is no sharpening choil, meaning there's no hang up spot. On the downside, there's no sharpening choil, so this area is going to look increasingly goofy over time. It's not bad the way that they did it, it's just fine. By the way, where are these made? These are made in Taiwan. My buddy Ricky, actually, as far as I understand, Sniper Bladeworks is a client of his. And I said, where are these made? I think people would like to know, because I wasn't sure. And these are manufactured in Taiwan. So that's great. If you didn't know, Taiwan manufacturing is actually pretty expensive. It is not the same thing as having things made in China. It is substantially more expensive to have something manufactured in Taiwan versus China. So as long as people understand that, that should be factored into the cost, right? Along with quality, fit and finish, the materials, etc. The satin finish on this blade looks really, really nice. I have no issue with it. I would really like to see them, I'm trying to get my fingerprints off it. I'd like to see them do a tumbled finish with a similar reflectivity. Obviously, you can't get the same as with a tumbled finish, but it looks good. The way that they did it looks nice. Their coated versions also look nice. You can get a look at that if you go back to the unboxing of the first batch of these that I got. I got one with OD green scales and a black coated blade. That also looks very good, very uniform, right? Blade shape is kind of a, I don't know, reverse Tanto sheep's foot, rhinoceros face. It's a big aggressive blade that's got a bit of a tip, not much of a puncture tip, you know, versus traditional blade styles like drop point, spear point, or whatever, right? But it does have some slicing belly, and honestly, touching it back up and resharpening it should be pretty easy because it's one continuous curvature and it's not that crazy. The edges up here are pretty abrupt, but not so sharp that they're readily shaving my fingernails. Abrupt enough that if you wanted to strike a ferro rod off of it, it would definitely throw sparks. So that's nice, right? In fact, I don't think that this thing would be out of place as a camping tool at all. It would probably be a pretty darn good camping tool. The inside of this little area right here is high polish. I don't know that it's a whole lot higher polish than the rest of the blade, but it is, that area is noticeable. On this side, it says Sniper Bladeworks. Sorry. On this side, it says Sniper Bladeworks. On this side, it just says S35EN. I wish that they had gone ahead and done the fuller on this side just to even it out. This side looks weird. This side has all the character. And then this side, it's just flat titanium that's been tumbled, and the blade has no little tiny, I call it a fuller, the little indention here. I really think, I mean, there's plenty of material for them to do that, right? I think it would just complement the knife aesthetically to have this on this side. The other reason that this looks a little bit funky is that the titanium on this side is flat and the G10 here is slightly contoured, right? So we have rounded, there's more detail, the inlays here, right? And then this is just flat. So obviously contouring the titanium on this side would give it a little bit of a better look, a little bit less of an unfinished look, but that's expensive to do, and the equipment that is involved with making contoured titanium is really expensive, right? I have no doubt in my mind that this knife would be substantially, I say substantially, it would definitely cost more if this side was contoured. I think that it would go a long ways to have some sort of pattern milled into this titanium, or maybe do the inlays on this side as well. I think that something else needs to be done on this side to just make it look less plain. Truthfully, for me, I think it would be really cool to have some texturing or just areas of texturing. And then definitely have this little spot right here on this side of the blade, because it just looks weird. It looks like it just is kind of unfinished, right? But it is done very well. It's not actually unfinished. Everything here is absolutely done well. So I just want to make sure that is actually pointed out there. The tumbled finish on this is just, kind of a plain Jane tumbled finish, kind of large but uniform scratches. That's fine, right? Let's see here. We have two big plain standoffs back here, and then one that's designed as a lanyard barrel, which is fine. That's not a big deal. I think we probably could have just done away with this one right here, and this lanyard barrel by itself would definitely be enough, right? We have three, actually, I missed this one. We have three standoffs and one standoff barrel lanyard spacer thing, and I think that's probably overkill. I think maybe we just get rid of this guy back here, right? I don't know that we need that, but they've got it on there. So there you go. The pocket clip is very plain. It's not milled. It's just sitting on top there, and it is not milled out on the other side for lefty carries. Sorry, lefties. Or the screw holes are not in place for lefty carry. I think there should also be a spot for lefties to be able to carry this. The pocket clip it kind of goes with the design. It's very simple. It's very wide. It absolutely works. In and out of the pocket is just fine. And here's the other thing. Where's the magnet? There it is. The clip is also titanium. So it's not a milled clip, but it is a titanium clip. So I appreciate that. Plenty of retention. So we're good there. This area, the lock bar, the cutout's interesting. The lock bar area is just kind of, again, this whole side just kind of looks unfinished. But it does work, and there's plenty of contact. There's a steel lock bar insert, which again, like I said, is really kind of surprising. A lot of these knives of this style, even in this day and age, we just don't see that. We see a carbonized titanium lock face, right? But we do have a lock bar insert, and that's great. This locks out. There's no stop pin because the lugs on the outside of the blade act as stops. So yes, one is stopping against G10, but that's fine. There's an enormous amount of surface contact, and the other side is on titanium. So this isn't going to stop it from locking out completely and totally solid, right? You can see here where the impact marks are. In fact, you know what? They've actually got, I was wondering, I was like, what is this little area right here? It's not impacting just G10. There is actually a little piece of steel that has been nested inside. Of course there is, because we need something for the bearings to run on. A little piece of steel that's been nested on the inside of the G10, just right to there. And it's where this is impacted, right? Had it been hitting the G10, the impact mark over time obviously would have gotten deeper, but it would have kept fairly stable because the other side is titanium. Thankfully, they thought of that, and we have a titanium impact area, right? You can see the lug is hitting both, but it is hitting the steel, which is plenty hard, right? So we're locking out primarily on titanium and steel, completely and totally. This isn't going anywhere. The amount of surface contact between these two lugs and the lock bar, which is substantial. I think we're locking up at like 30%. Can we see right here? Yeah, plenty. And the geometry is good. The lockup is completely and totally solid. Not a hint of blade play. No lock stick. No pivot lash. This is very solid, extremely consistent and smooth in here. Absolutely. There's no weird areas or anything like that. Nice detent. Really nice, really clicky. That's just really satisfying on such a large knife. Perfectly centered with no detent lash. This is like old school, cool, overbuilt meets, a newer knife that has kind of the smooth, kind of the snobby action kind of thing, right? I really like the ergonomics. I really like the look on this side. The knife is obviously well made, fit and finish is there. Really like the look on this side. This side is just awkwardly plain, right? I think it would be really cool if we had this dressed up just a little bit, just something to make it look less, you know, it looks like this is a prototype that's like laying on top of a workbench and they're gonna change a bunch of stuff, right? But they didn't. It's just kind of plain. Again, it's fine. It'll work, right? There's nothing wrong with this, but I just feel like there should be more detail over here. I also definitely feel like these stops should be, they should be studs. They should look like this, right? So that people can get a hold of those. What do these come in at? $425. There's a lot of titanium, good materials, great fit and finish. And again, these are manufactured in Taiwan. The price does not blow my socks off. It's pretty up there, but it's also a really, really cool overbuilt knife that's actually ergonomic and carries decently well. I mean, I know it's heavy, right? But it's not like comically oversized and, you know, just like it looks cool, but you can't hold it because it's shaped like a pineapple, right? I'm not going to name any names, but there are knives out there that are just like, oh, it's overbuilt. Now you could use this. It's absolutely functional. It is probably the most comfortable overbuilt knife, or one of the most comfortable overbuilt knives that I've ever reviewed on this channel, right? So, and it's more obtainable than a lot of the other stuff out there, right? We're getting, you know, a lot of like Chinese overbuilt knives, and even those you don't see. I mean, people buy them up really fast, but now these are available. I would be very happy if I, you know, it's like if I reached into my pocket and didn't know what was going to be in there that day, you know, if somebody just magically placed a knife in my pocket, I'd be very happy that this was with me in a number of different settings. Obviously, it's heavy. That's going to be a problem, but it is a functional tool. I liked this a lot more than I thought I would. It's cool. Now, it's not for everybody. In fact, it's so big that it's going to be for select groups of people, and it was obviously intentionally designed that way. So this is not a knife that I can recommend to everybody, but people who like big overbuilt knives and actually like to carry and use them, you will definitely like this thing. This is really cool, and I can understand why there was so much popularity behind this knife for however many years this design has been a thing, right? I'm just really, really late to the game. So this was a fun one, really cool. Thanks again to Sniper Bladeworks. I'm going to keep this one, carry it, and use it, and enjoy it. Really good stuff. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.